Hey guys, toxic mothers. We often hear about absentee fathers, dysfunctional fathers, absent fathers a lot, but we don't hear a whole lot, or as much I should say, about toxic or dysfunctional or absent mothers. And I kind of sort of had that experience. My parents had I would say was a rough marriage because there was abuse in the home. And I remember that from a child. As early as 5 years old, I remember incidences. So eventually my parents ended up splitting after going back and forth together for a few years. And at the age of 10, I permanently went to live with my father. And my sister was 5 at the time. So we went to live with our father and our grandmother. So we were raised by our grandmother and my father. And throughout the years, we always kept in touch with my mom. There was never a time where we couldn't find her, or my dad or my grandmother didn't go and take us to see her. So there wasn't the absence in the fact that we couldn't find her. It was just absence in the fact that she wasn't there. Now, I'm not totally blaming her for everything, because I know that she had reason for not being there, and there was reason for them not being together. However, I could not really ever understand why she just couldn't seem to grasp life and just get stable enough for us to be able to just visit her for long periods of time, or just spend long periods of time with her. Like, I'll take you to your mom's house to spend the weekend, or things like that. It's never ever been that way, and we never had that opportunity. And I know she has her own things going on, and had a lot of her own things going on in her life, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, things like that. It's just there was also a bit of passive aggression there. So my mom and I really had a kind of touchy relationship. I always got along to the point that I would respect her. I respected her. I really appreciate her bringing me into the world, but I just never understood the instability. I guess that's what I always had an issue with, the instability. And so that led to a very like touchy relationship between her and I. We would get along. I'd go see her and whatnot, because she never had a driver's license, so we always had to go to her. And but when it came to us being in the same place for long periods of time, it wouldn't go. And I just never really understood it. Like I said, she's very into the Bible. She knows the Bible backward and forward, but I just couldn't understand, sometimes why she would do or say the things that she would do. It's like it was to purposely provoke us, So like I said, I tried to understand what she had been through and what she had gone through in her life, but at the same time, I couldn't really understand, well, why wouldn't you try to do even more and make even more of a difference so that your children don't have to experience the same thing? But yeah, I just wanted to talk about my experience and talk about toxic mothers. I know that there are some mothers out there that are actually jealous of their children, jealous of their girls. That wasn't my situation at all. It's just touching on the fact that I was not raised by my mother, and you really don't hear a whole lot of people talking about the fact that they weren't really raised by their mother, but their mother was around. You know what I'm saying? So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about that, about toxic mothers or absentee mothers, drop them in the comments and we can talk about it. I'd love to talk about it and hear your experiences. And another thing that I did in response to my relationship with my mom and how things were was I made a promise. I made a pact to never ever be that way. I made a promise and a pact to always be there for my child and for my children. And when my son was growing up, you know how people say, oh, I need a break. I just need this and that. I never really said that because I never wanted to be away from him. I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want him, I didn't want to miss seeing him, you know, do something for the first time. I didn't want to miss him growing up an inch or two over the summer when he's with someone else or not with me. So, you know, I just never really said things like that because I always wanted to be around. And so sometimes things can, when you try to not be like your parents, then, you know, sometimes people end up being like their parents, or you can go in the total opposite direction. But I tried to keep a good balance and just, you know, always say, you know, I don't want to be that way. I want to be as functional and healthy in every way as possible. And that's what I strived for. But yeah, that's just a little bit about my experience with my mother. So tell me about yours if you feel at liberty to, and be blessed.